Hello. Hello. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Um, Obviously, this event is starting at 10 o'clock, but we do have breakfast available and it's ready in the room if you head directly out to the left. So, should be easy to see. Thank you.
Test. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started here in a few minutes. So if you guys need any coffee, water, bathrooms, please use those now. Otherwise, if you guys can start getting to your seats, we'll get started here in a few minutes. Thank you, guys.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Our judges. It's good to see you guys. Great to see all the teams here. I had a chance to meet a few of you this morning, but I'm looking forward to learning more about the projects. I'm Josh Knights. I'm with the Sustainability Institute at Ohio State, and I'm going to be your MC for the third Smart Campus Challenge that has been put on by Ohio State Energy Partners and ENGIE. So if you don't know who we are, the Sustainability Institute, we seek to solve big, complex sustainability problems that are of importance to society and community through the sustainability research and education, living labs and partnerships that we have here at Ohio State. We bring together faculty, students, and staff who are really the ones that do the work and come up with the ideas. And I think this event is a great example of that. So since most of the people in the room are either competing or judging in today's event, hopefully you all know why you're here. If any of you were trying to have a friend or a relative watch the event using live stream, anyone? Okay, Ben. The live stream link is not working. So they are not actually watching you right now, Ben. But But we have a solution. If you tell them to go to Smart Campus Challenge on is it the NG Instagram?
The Instagram is Smart Campus Challenge.
Oh, I'm sorry. So go to Smart Campus Challenge on Instagram. In the bio or the story about today's event, the link there will work. So you want to text them right away so they don't miss a minute of me up here. Okay, so anyhow, we're excited to we've got seven amazing teams of talented students who are going to pitch their ideas for how to make Ohio State campus more sustainable. And they're going to sell their ideas to a panel of judges who are right up here, a very rowdy group here. They're going to try to convince them that their idea is worth funding. So we are super excited to hear all of your pitches. So this competition, it really attracts a certain type of individual, doesn't it? I mean, you guys are all altruistic, right? You're interested in sustainability. If you're not, just nod, because that would be the appropriate thing to do at this point. But you're also very ambitious, right? You're not satisfied with simply having a vision. You actually want to see that vision become a reality. And I think that's what sets you guys apart from a lot of other people. You are individually competitive. I can tell. I talked with a few of you. One of you has like 3 different majors she's working on right now, which is incredible. But you know how to work together as a team. And I think we're going to see that in action here in a few minutes. You're also hard workers. You demonstrate creativity and problem solving. So I think the message here, other than being late, the message here is that you guys are all winners, regardless of how today works out, right? You're going to be, this is great. You guys made it here. You were selected. You're going to pitch for an amazing prize. So no matter how today pans out, please know that you're all winners. Give or take $60,000. So the first prize is going to get $60,000 to implement their project and a trip to Paris, which is incredible. And so we want to say thank you to NG for hosting that. That's where their headquarters is. Sorry, here, hang on just a second. All right, so fate of these 7 teams, as I mentioned, rests in the hands of these amazing judges. They've been selected from across the university because they bring a diversity of perspectives and a wealth of knowledge to their role. They're not receiving any compensation to be here, right? Okay. For them, the reward is supporting the innovation, passion, and leadership of their students. So let's meet our judges. We're going to start off with Kadir Ahmed. He's an assistant professor in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. He has raised more than $10 million in research funding. So Kadir knows a thing or two about pitching ideas. Charlene Brenner is one of my colleagues from the Sustainability Institute, where she helps interdisciplinary research teams pursue funding opportunities as our research strategy manager. I just made that up. Did you like that? Okay. Aparna Dial is Senior Director for Facilities, Engineering, and Sustainability with the Wexner Medical Center and has held multiple leadership roles on sustainability, both here at the university and also with the City of Columbus. Tom Reeves is Director of Sustainability with the Wellness Center at Student Life and a guiding force behind the university's Green Buckeyes program, if any of you are familiar with that. Joe Campbell is a senior lecturer with the School of Environment. Oh, y'all should just read that. With the School of Environment and Natural Resources, and he was responsible when he was the head of the Environmental Professionals Network of putting on dozens of amazing environmental and sustainability programs. Some of you probably enjoyed that. And then finally, last but not least, Sean Medor. He is the CEO of Ohio State Energy Partners. And when he's not trying to squeeze every last energy conservation measure out of campus, he enjoys spending time in nature like most of us do in the form of extreme cave climbing. You do need to talk to him about that during one of the breaks. So thank you all for serving as judges. We really appreciate it. The students plan to make your decision as difficult as possible. Okay, so 2 more acknowledgements I'd like to make. Am I okay on time, Maggie? Okay. First, I'd like to thank the advisors of the student teams for the support they provided during the development of the pitches. Advisors, can you raise your hands really quick? Okay, great. Let's give Jordan and Christine a round of applause, please. Thank you so much for your time and enthusiasm in helping the students out. And I'd also like to recognize the team at NG who organized today's event. If you've ever put on a program like this, you know how complicated it is. Ben, I know you're doing the Earth Day thing, so don't brag, but it is a lot of work, right? So let's give a special round of applause to all of our friends with NG for all the work that they've done. So, all right, quick overview of today's programs. 4 teams are going to deliver their pitches in the morning. Hopefully you guys know who you are. We're then going to have an hour break for lunch. The remaining 3 teams will present their ideas. Judges are then going to go do judgy things for a short time to make their selections. And then we expect to present the awards at 3:30. So if you need to wander off for a little bit, need to run an errand or make a call, be sure to be back by 3:30 in case your team is called. Now, for all the teams, you're going to have 11 minutes up here to pitch your idea. I'm going to probably start edging back up to the stage at around the 10-minute mark, just to let you know it's time to wrap up. Then you're going to have up to 15 minutes of questions and answers with the judges here after that. So that's the run of the show for the day. So with that, I would like to ask Sean, the CEO of Ohio State Energy Partners, to officially start our program. Sean.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really excited to see these pitches today. No bias here, but if you could help us improve efficiency in the McCracken power plant, that would be a big advantage for you. So we know how hard you all have worked over the last few months, the last year, on creating sustainable projects that are effective across the OSU campus, that will be impactful. And I think we're going to all be impressed with what we see today. There's no doubt in my mind. If any of you can come up with an innovation, again, another advantage, to make this stick to my jacket a lot better than it's doing with sustainable glue, another key. So maybe change your project today. The winners, of course, as I mentioned, you're going to have your project funded, and you'll get a trip to the very beautiful, brand new, environmentally friendly NG office in Paris. I was there back in December. It is really, really awesome place that really talks about all of, it illustrates all of the NG environmentally friendly initiatives that are going on across the globe. NG is a renewable company. We're converting a lot of what you see here at OSU over to energy efficient, let's say steam, chilled water, and electricity across the OSU campus. You mentioned that the judges are not compensated for this, but we are. We are compensated for this, and I'll tell you how. I know in next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, I'm going to know exactly where to put my investment money, and it's going to be in the projects that you all come up with today. So I'll be watching very, very closely. So good luck to all of you. I can't wait to see all the pitches. Let's get the program going. I went off script.
All right, great. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our first team here, and that is Sustain Station. So Sustain Station, why don't you go ahead and come on up to the stage? We'll set up. So Sustain Station, this team seeks to reduce waste on campus and increase accessibility to sustainable products by installing 3 toiletry vending machines across campus. By providing these options directly to the students, this initiative reduces waste produced by single-use items, supporting Ohio State's long-term sustainability goals. Now, speaking of reducing waste, I did want to let you know, go ahead, go on up. I did want to let the group here know that today is a zero waste event. So thanks to NG and OSEP for taking the extra effort to make it zero waste. That means that at least 90% or more of the waste generated from today's event will not end up in the landfill. And while we're on the topic of waste, there are no planned bathroom breaks during the program, but there are going to be transition periods like this. So please take advantage of that to That's okay. To stretch your legs or use the facilities to minimize disruptions during the presentations. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hand things over to Sustain Station to kick things off.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. We are Sustain Station. Oh, this way. Okay. So I'm Milena Desta. I am an EADS major with a minor in humanitarian engineering. And why I was really engaged in this project is because I'm very interested in how students and people in general make economic decisions when the environment is factored in. My name is Faye Abushaba. I'm a third-year economics major with a minor in biology. And the reason why I'm here today is as a pre-health professional, as a student, it's important for me to make a lasting impact. And to be honest, there is no future in healthcare without building a present sustainable. Hi, my name is Mariah. I'm a third-year data analytics major, and I chose to be on this project because I want to use analytics for good. So first, I would like for you guys to imagine that, well, you guys don't have to really imagine, but the panelists, I would like for you guys to imagine that you are a student at Ohio State and you just experienced the worst day. You come back to your dorm, you want to end the night off right, grab your shower caddy, go to the bathroom, you grab your toothbrush and your toothpaste, and you realize you ran out. This is an issue that many students face, and we want to provide a solution for them. So with Sustain Station, we plan to offer instant access with a lasting impact. We plan to bring 3 vending machines to campus, 1 for North, 1 for South, and 1 for West, with sustainable toiletry products for students that need quick solutions to toiletries. We have different various data from the US where we found that college consumers are willing to spend on sustainable products, and they rank sustainability as a very important thing for them. So we have 2 partners. One is Rewash Refillery, owned by Sam. She owns this refillery just a few miles away, and it is a company where people can bring in reusable or containers and fill them with different products such as laundry detergent. And she also offers eco-friendly products that we plan to put in our vending machines. As well, we have Banks Beauty, which is a sustainable hair care company, and we plan to put their products in our vending machines as well. They offer products that are sustainable because their packaging is sustainable, it's recyclable, and the products are cruelty-free. Okay, so we also have Sam's Pilot. She has put this in Cotman Hall. It has been concept tested and it's been running, and we've gotten some data from it, and we see that it is something that can be implemented here at the university. So this is our prototype. It will take cash, Buck ID, credit, all those different payment methods, and we'll have a QR code on it right here, so that way students can scan it and figure out what products that they need or want to buy. Over the past several weeks, our team has been working hard on connecting all over campus. We have been communicating with the housing, speaking to dorm and building coordinators, speaking to leaders of the Ohio Union, the RPACT, and in all of these communications, what we have figured out is 1, the places in which we can install these vending machines, and 2, the steps towards taking that. Now let's talk budget. We estimate that this project is going to cost us around $48,000. $15,000 of this is going towards the vending machines themselves, 3 each. Around $10,000 total of stocking each of the vending machines. $2,779 of it is going towards maintenance, labor, and marketing costs. Now the $20,000 subsidy is what we believe will set students up for success and keeping costs as low as we possibly can. So we plan on using this subsidy in 3 phases. Within the first year, we are keeping prices 50% below the original cost. Transitioning into the second year, we are keeping prices 25% below cost, still trying to manage getting students used to it. And within the third phase, we are using the prices are going closer to the retail price, and the machine will fully be self-sustaining. And here is just a visual representation of what that is going to look like between all 3 phases within the first year to the third year.
So when thinking about feasibility for a project like this, we know that it can be done. So when asked that question, we have examples. So at The Ohio State University themselves, in the RPAC, there is a naloxone vending machine. So that is something that is providing a life-saving product for opioid overdose. In addition to that, Ohio State has offered a bacon vending machine. There's been hair care vending machines at several universities, and even the University of Michigan is offering a product like this with a medicine, over-the-counter medicine vending machine. So novelty vending machines have been around for a long time. We know that this is a concept that can be implemented, that is affordable, and is useful. The point of this project is to offer students with a convenient solution to their everyday problems. So to really get the maximum impact of this project, we had to understand the students on campus and campus presence. So the point of this project isn't just to sell products, it is to change sustainable purchasing habits for life. So by engaging students in the mission, by informing students on what sustainability means, we're able to get that mission across. So we decided to do a poll. We polled 43 students on the usage of this machine. 84% of students responded yes when asked if they would actually use the machine, while 12% of students said maybe. And we think that that can be turned into a yes. We aim to get students involved, so we have received support from the Undergraduate Student Government Sustainability Committee, as well as Depop OSU. Depop being a platform with a chapter at OSU that aims to implement recyclable clothing. So implement a circular system within clothing in a way that you can buy and resell clothes. We've also built a social media following. So again, getting students to buy products that are making them feel good, making them feel like they've done something great for the environment, getting them to realize that buying a great product doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice performance. Means that they'll buy that product for life and again, change their sustainability impact for life. So these are some of the responses from our polls. We asked, how do sustainable vending machines align with your values, goals, and/or lifestyle? And the students said it themselves. It's difficult to shop sustainably on campus without using Amazon / an other delivery service. Students don't want to pay fees. Students don't want to wait. Amazon within itself, all of that excess waste with energy, packaging. So we aim to kind of quell that and give them a sustainable option that is instant, convenient, and affordable. And at the end of this day, the project is tailored to students and making an impact on students that lasts a long time and impacts their sustainability habits for life is the purpose. So we really just want to be there for students. Thank you. Here are references.
Great job, you guys. Okay, so we're going to ask our judges to share their thoughts and see if they have any questions. And you guys have up to 15 minutes for a Q&A with Sustain Station. Who would like to lead things off? Aparna.
So well done, you guys. Very nicely done. Very professional presentation. So how do you know that students figure out what the impact is, right? If I run out of toothpaste, I'm just going to buy that toothpaste.
Right.
Like, how do they know that this is an important decision, right? I'm not trying to be skeptical, but most students, it's a convenience factor.
Yeah.
So how was that an impact for life? Or is there any learning? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, so what you just mentioned, it's a convenience factor. With this vending machine being placed, they don't have to run to Kroger, which may be 20 minutes away. They don't have to run to the Target. So that being there and them being able to pick up this toothpaste. They may love it. They may find that it's the best toothpaste that they ever had. And, that added factor of being sustainable, that makes them feel like, hey, I've done something good. I've got what I needed. I did it affordably. I did it conveniently. And I don't have to, worry about the impacts of this product that we're purchasing. And as we know, Gen Z consumers are actively looking to align their lifestyle and their missions with sustainable products and, align sustainability in a convenient way. Yeah.
As our prototype, actually, if you want to go back to it, we are planning on having a QR code, which is imitating actually Sam's vending machine. So on her vending machine, she has a QR code, which leads to actually each of the products, describes each of them. And for us, we're planning on adding the environmental impact specifically for Ohio State and how each product is helping Ohio State meet the sustainable goals.
I also had a follow-up question. How did you pick the student population to do your survey?
So we actually randomized it. We put it everywhere on campus that we could find, different dorms. Specifically, we are trying to cast a wide net and have this impact all students, but we know the reality for off-campus commuter students, they do have accessibility to vehicles and leaving off campus and making those choices. But for on-campus students, the convenience and the budget factor of it all, we pulled mainly, it seemed like people who lived on dorms, but we spread it everywhere in all our group chats and try to.
Sorry, I have another question.
Yes.
You have a pricing model that changes, right,
Mhm.
year to year.
Yes.
But your population also in the residence also changes.
Yes.
The ones that, so you go year one as a freshman, year two as a sophomore, by the third year, they're gone. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so as far as the pricing model, that is just the first option that we thought of keeping costs low. We are seeing that if this does become a success, we will have conversations with the university, specifically dorm coordinators, on helping us with funding. The $20,000 subsidy is able to stretch out and keep prices low for around 2 to 3 years. Based on the performance of the machines, we can have those conversations. I personally am in USG. I work with the university. We speak on many budget factors, and they're very lenient when they see that things are actually impacting their students. So if we're giving them the data that students are making better choices and are able to not, go on High Street in the middle of the night for toothpaste and not, do things that may not be within their safety and help the university goals, then we can discuss that conversation. But that's where we are.
I had one more.
Yes, go ahead.
Where does how is the revenue share? Who gets the money from the sales?
So for that, it's actually supposed to be the cost of each of the products are supposed to be matched up with the cost of labor, maintenance, stocking, inventory. We had a pricing budget model, which was in our Excel sheet when we first presented this, and we are planning on splitting up the work of like stocking and the marketing work. But as far as the payment, it's supposed to be circular. So it's supposed to really just cover the cost of the actual inventory items and just the cost of maintenance, nothing more.
Good. Great presentation. Thank you. Over time, we have seen businesses that have kind of gone from one model to another to ensure profitability. With your business, it starts off with purely sustainable products. What policies or, let's say, business constitution do you have in place that ensures that one day your vending machine is out of toothpaste? I'm just going to run off to Kroger and buy 50 little modules of Crest and put the Crest in there. And your business then evolved from one of being sustainable to one of maximizing profit.
So we want to reiterate that this project is in partnership with Rewash Refillery. And Rewash Refillery's goal, mission in Columbus, Ohio, is to bring sustainable products to the overall community. So that is our ethos, and that's never going to change. Rewash Refillery within itself is a sustainable business. They stock sustainable products. They stock products that don't have to be pre-verified by students, so they know that they are getting a sustainable option. So that within itself fundamentally, this will be a sustainable project for all time.
I have a question. Good presentation. So, how did you pick the location of the vending machines?
So student opinion, we asked students where they thought that this would be the most impactful. We also reached out all over campus and got to talk to building managers and facilities to kind of see where they would like a vending machine, if they have the capacity to have a vending machine. We also targeted locations based off of Sam's vending machine. So that vending machine is in Common Hall. So that is an area on West Campus where lots of students that have sustainable ideals frequent, because that's where they take their classes. So being in locations where students already have sustainability aligned with their values will guarantee the most usage out of this machine.
Okay, and one more question. How many of the products that you will have in the vending machine are single use?
So here's kind of a list of some of our key products that are in that vending machine. So some single-use products, for example, we can say a shave bar or a face wash, but products that aren't single-use, products that can be maintained for a long time, a toothbrush, or the Bagu reusable bag. So we have a variety of products, some that are single-use, some that can be run out of, but also some products that, you know, will be in your inventory for a long time.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you. Such great questions already. I have one more that you haven't answered. To prevent sticker shock across the years, how are you going to communicate kind of your pricing structure as you move to 100% on the student shoulders?
Yeah, I think that that's really important that you brought that up. So within having that subsidy within that first 2 years, we want students to get used to having a machine like this. The products within themselves are fairly affordable, and through our polling, we were able to find out that students are actually willing to pay that premium to have sustainable products. So once students are able to find a product that they really love, they are able to, you know, shoulder up a couple of dollars, you know, to have that product that makes an impact, but also to have a product that they love. So that sticker shock is something that I think is inevitable in a way, but just having that option, having a convenient option, having a sustainable option, and, you know, we are making sure that those the products that we're stocking are not, you know, extremely expensive for students. We specifically picked out products that are within a student's budget range and within our poll results, you know, products that they believe are affordable enough.
A social media presence. Almost every single person in the dorms are on Instagram or TikTok. So using that as a mode to communicating to students, but also hearing their feedback about, is the price increase actually going to make you, you know, not buy these products? And again, relaying this information back to the university. I've worked with many projects with them, and they were very lenient when it comes to improving the lives and the quality of students, especially in the dorms. So utilizing social media to let them know and having that as a feedback place.
You mentioned you will be working with Rewash, Refillery, and there is one more partner, right? Are there products on market now? Where?
So Rewash Refillery, Sam back there is the owner of it, in Clintonville. So a bit like 5 miles or like 3 miles off of campus, 2 miles off of campus. I was getting there. But yes, so she's locally locally owned. So people and students can also know that those are where her products are, or those are where the products are coming from. So they can go and stop by her shop. But Amika, Banksy, and I believe they are all online products. They're stored in also like Target, Kroger, places like that. So yeah.
So the price wise, what's available, let's say in Target versus what's available in the vending machine after the subsidy goes away, how much is the difference?
So actually, I'll let you speak to this because she's
partnering with Amica and Bain. So we're buying at a wholesale price from Monk's Beauty. So I'll go back to our pricing model. So wholesale, $7. With that first year of that subsidy, it'll be 50% off. So $3.50. Those are the two on the bottom right, by the way. So the shampoo and the conditioner. Third year, 75% off, $5. And then it'll return to a sustainable price, which will be $8. So that $1 is just to maintain circularity.
I want to just echo all the comments that the judges have already observed, and to call up the organizational slide where it was about implementation through FOD and sort of down. So if you could bring up that slide. And my question's about sustainability. So I believe, Mariah, if everything goes to plan, you'll graduate this year. You both will graduate next year. This is a 3-year plan. Who owns this project in year 1 and then into year 3? What's the transition, and how have you worked with FOD or other members of this community up here to get their ideas on this?
Yeah. So we've reached out to facilities, we've reached out to FOD, we've reached out to dorms, housing facilities to kind of understand their student need. Some of the places that we've reached out to have said, hey, we don't have the capacity for this. We don't have vending machines in our facilities. That's that. However, other facilities have maintained interest if this is an OSU official project. So if this is something that is being issued, obviously, if we were to win and we got this project funding and this was an official OSU project, they would be able to keep that in their dorms for over 3 years. So when it comes to maintaining restocking once we graduate and the overall maintenance of the machine, that will be dealt to Sam, the owner of Rewash Refillery. So that partnership is supposed to be revolving. So after we graduate.
Hi. First of all, great presentation. I really like the creative use of your pricing model. I thought that was a really creative way to do that. So good job on that. One of the questions I have is you've mentioned different folks that you've spoken with, and you're using job titles that I have never heard of, which is not to be expected, right? So when you talk about folks you've spoken with in housing, are we talking like hall directors? Are we talking about like their bosses? Who are we talking about there?
Yeah. Hall directors.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so have you talked to anybody else within housing or student life or FOD or any of that stuff on any of these issues?
Yeah. So I was able to contact Jeff Petterell of the Ohio Union, and he gave me a lot of insight on contacting and who to contact. He gave me some contacts for that, but also we just utilized the Ohio State website when it came to dorm coordinators. So we contacted dorm coordinators of Morrill Tower, Lincoln Tower, South Campus dorms, so Park Stradley, Smith Steep, North Campus dorms, Blackburn. And we just grabbed the emails from the websites. As far as contacting facilities themselves, I was able to call multiple times, and they were mainly just telling me where to go. And they were the ones who directed me to dorm coordinators and told me that that is something that dorm coordinators can confirm, and then they can be added to the project. And they also led me to the purchasing department.
I used to run the vending contracts 100 years ago at Ohio State, and it's never as easy as you would like it to be. So I'm curious, how did you get a chance to talk to the purchasing folks, and what were their responses?
So our conversation with them is still impeding. I kind of just sent a couple emails, but as far as an exact contract, we're still working the details of that out. But yeah, we were able to get it mainly from dorm coordinators, and they confirmed that it is a possibility. An issue that we did here was just the stocking of the actual items. We know that the university has a contract with Coca-Cola, so we're not able to impede on that. And we know that that's one of the largest issues, which don't really impact anything that's in our vending machine. So that's what we heard. And there's also just spacing issues, but that's something that coordinators of the buildings would inform us if we were allowed to.
Judges, great questions. Do you have anything more that you want to cover with them before we move on? All right, very good. All right, another round of applause for Sustained
Thank you so
Station,
much.
everyone. And Sam, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Thanks very much.
Association Business of the Year last week.
Congratulations.
And just wanted to lean on the fact that we have been in business over 5 years. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm a part of the Clintonville community. The girls have been great in working with me for the past few months. But just want to let you know this isn't a fly-by-night business. I've been in Clintonville for 5 years.
Sam, you're the best prop they could have brought in. So thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. So, all right. Our next team up is Thread Cycle OSU. Thread Cycle OSU, come on up to the stage. So Thread Cycle OSU is a campus-wide initiative to reduce textile waste by installing accessible textile collection bins in residence halls for students to utilize instead of throwing away unwanted clothing, linen, and fabrics. All collected materials will be sorted for direct use or textile recycling or repurposing. This ensures that textiles are responsibly processed through a circular system that supports Ohio State's zero waste goals and strengthens community connections. Go ahead and head on up to the podium there, station. All right, this is we're going to do a little bit of audience participation while they say hello to the judges. Nice touch. What do you think, that one? Sure. Here, we'll even add something on there. You can throw that on there too. All right. So we're gonna do a little bit of audience participation here, a little bit of trivia. We need someone who is well dressed. I think you, sir, look very well dressed. So we're gonna pick on you. Is that okay? All right, we're gonna ask you a question here, and you get this amazing prize, compliments of NG, if you get the answer correct. Now this is a fashion industry, textile related question, given our team that's up here. So it's okay, but you are very well dressed. So we figure you're gonna ace this. So the fashion industry is using more and more materials that are plastic based, made out of polymers, which means that they release tons, literally tons of plastic microfibers into waterways that eventually reaches the ocean. Now, I'm going to ask you for this amazing prize, which I'm not even sure what it is, but it's amazing. Is the amount that annually reaches the ocean of microfibers 500 tons, 5,000 tons, or 500,000 tons? It is 500,000 tons. Congratulations. Yes. That is the equivalent of about 50 billion plastic bottles. So well done. Great job, Isaiah. All right, we're going to hand things over to Thread Cycle OSU.
Hey. Thank you for being here and good morning. We are Thread Cycle Ohio State, and I want to set the stage. Imagine you're a freshman, okay? You have packed your bags and you're ready to move out, but then you realize, I have 3 towels that are stained. I have my favorite sweater that I happen to shrink in the dryer, and I've also stained, and I still have a t-shirt from syllabus week. What am I gonna do? Unfortunately, the easiest option, and is the option that most students take, is to just throw it away. Unfortunately, that's also the reason why Americans produce 81 tons of textile waste a year. The real innovation within our idea is that students want to see a behavior change. 18 to 30% of students said that they would engage in a behavior change if it was easily accessible to them. And that's according to the Ohio State Sustainability Institute that conducted a survey in 2024. So Thread Cycle was born out of that idea of that space between intention and action. We want students to be able to have an opportunity to recycle their clothing. So before we get into the meat and bones of our project, I'd like to introduce our team. I'm Vidula. I'm an Eats and Finance major. We have Arpith, who is a freshman. He is studying biomedical engineering. We have Kunch, who's doing logistics management and is also a senior, and Amanda McIntyre, doing chemical engineering, also a senior. So let's talk about the problem.
I want you to imagine 45 to 60 elephants on OSU's campus. You'd think they'd be pretty easy to find, right? But that's wrong, because 45 to 60 metric tons of textile waste is being quietly hidden from the community of Ohio State. As a freshman in a dorm, I do not have a car, so I can't really go and donate any piece of clothing. It'd take a 75-minute bus, and 27,000 students have the same dilemma. So that leads to the convenience trap. I'd rather go to the first floor of my dorm and just throw it away in the bins than spend almost an hour and 30 minutes just to donate a piece of clothing. And that causes such a big impact. 4% of Ohio's entire waste stream is just from textiles, which leads to millions upon millions of metric tons of waste.
That's how we got to our solution. We came up with a 3-tiered sorting system in order to deal with textile waste. The main issue that a lot of textile waste companies face is that they don't have a way to recycle end-of-life textiles. I'm talking about socks, underwears with holes, socks with holes, linens that have stains. All of those things are not something that you'd want to give to someone to reuse. So what do we do with that? That's how we came up with our corporate partners. We have Patagonia and Abercrombie & Fitch, who both do textile recycling programs and would be willing to pick up a big load of textiles off campus. And additionally, we're working with Open Door Studio to deal with that end-of-life textile waste issue. All of those artists who are dealing with some sort of disability are being given an opportunity to create art and meaningful art with reused material. And they can use that sort of socks or those underwear like scraps and fill them into stuffed things or quilts. And we've seen a lot of beautiful art come out of this. We also have been expanding onto on-campus partnerships as well. We have Buckeyes Clothing Connection, which is on campus. We have the Earth Club. We have also talked to the Res Life, and we've talked to Engineers for a Sustainable World.
Thanks, Vatula. So how does this project actually work? Well, the first step in our logistics plan is collecting these fibers and textile waste. We plan on placing donation boxes and secure bins in residence hall lobbies where they will be clearly labeled and students will be able to drop in textile waste throughout the year, while our pilot plan is set to collect textile waste mainly during the end of the semester. My colleague Arpit will talk more about what happens after they're collected.
So after we collect it, what exactly are we going to do with it? We use a sortation, right? Well, how are we going to sort it? We're going to use pairing student volunteers and staff, leveraging visual guides and our homemade built agentic AI web app that helps sort with exceptional accuracy. So essentially, instead of replacing jobs with AI and machine learning, we're going to pair the two to speed up the process and make it as accurate as possible, because sometimes clothes don't have tags and we have to leave it to guesswork to determine what type of fabric it is, what type of clothing it is, and if it's good for donation.
NG also had a campus challenge where they had to have dorms reduce their amount of energy levels, and that ended up saving $160,000 for Park Stradley. Another important facet of this website that we have developed is that dorms can create their own profile. So we can have a dorm versus dorm competition to see how much textile waste each dorm can reduce. We have seen that competitions are super effective in motivating students to want to participate in initiatives such as these. Additionally, we also had the opportunity to survey 250 students from various dorms across Ohio State, and 80% of them said that if that bin was placed down into the residence hall, they would donate their clothing.
So after they're sorted, we plan on running a wash cycle as needed, depending on the fabrics and depending on where they need to go. After that's done, we also want to have a place to store them in a climate-controlled room, and we don't plan on holding it for long, as we don't want clothes or excess inventory staying on our campus.
So for transportation, we're working with multiple orgs on campus. Those include Buckeye Clothing Connection, Engineers for a Sustainable World, the Sierra Student Coalition, and also Earth Club at Ohio State. This is specifically feasible for our pilot program. We've had indicated interest from the Engineers for a Sustainable World and Buckeye Clothing Connection that their members would be able and willing to transport all of our collected materials. And then as the project grows, we would continue to work with more student organizations and envelop that so that we have more backup options and more cross connection across Ohio State, allowing for more sustainability and community.
And as a just-in-case measure, we're also going to be using Roadie, which is a gig delivery platform, to take care of some of the excess capacity if there is. It functions a similar way as DoorDash or Uber Eats, where you can get a driver and have things delivered locally in a very short amount of time. It's around 2 to 3 hours.
So for our timeline, where our pilot program would be starting next spring. So for this end of the semester, we'd like to finalize our participations with our student org. So Engineers for a Sustainable World has indicated that they would love to create a team that helps us create a sustainable solution for any sanitation issues. This type of low cost, sustainable, and scaling up type of solution is exactly what their group would like to create. And then also we would continue to pilot this program. So next semester, finishing our app development, making sure there's any kinks left out, working with any other companies that would like to recycle, and then also continuing and starting a trial run and then our collection run.
Now, when we talk about the cost of our program, we wanted to run a pilot program first and implement it only in one dorm. That approximate price would be $1,300. And this solution is low cost and scalable, but if we were to implement it in all 41 dorms, it would be around $55,000.
So let's talk about impact. In terms of the amount of tons being diverted, 45 to 60 metric tons of textile waste can be diverted through this program. Additionally, in terms of carbon dioxide, roughly 1,000 to 1,360 metric tons of carbon dioxide can be avoided, which translates to around 300 cars being taken off the road. In addition, 400 to 540 million liters of water can be saved. And let's talk about the intangibles. It forms a great community with different student orgs as well as collaboration.
So not every project is perfect, right? There are some things we have to consider in terms of risks. Our biggest operational risk comes in the form of labor, where we need people to make this happen, which is why we have so many student organization partners to provide that steady pool of labor. And while AI technology isn't 100% reliable at times, this is why we'll be using paper sortation guides, and this AI is sort of more of a complement. And finally, with every project, we haven't implemented it yet, so we don't fully know how much cost will be to 100%, which is why our pilot program is so crucial, so we can figure out the kinks and make improvements as we would like to scale it to all 41 OSU dorms. We thank you for your time, and we're open to questions.
Thank you. Great job, you guys. All right, who would like to lead off with the judges' questions? Aparna? Oh, you are reliable. Okay, here you go.
So I'm not quite sure I understand. So people will put things into the collection bins. Who is going to take it from the collection bin and where is going to get sorted? And how are you using AI? I was not quite, I don't know if I grasped it. And then where does it go after that? And then how are you tracking if those people can't use that? What happens to all of that? Is it just going to someone and they use 1% and then?
Okay, so we can clarify that. The main thing is that after all of the clothes enter the bin, we're going to have either RAs or the student volunteers sort the clothing. We've already talked to ResLife about this to see if this was possible, and they were very optimistic about finding a solution here. And they also said that RAs have have to stay on campus for a lot of time, and they don't have enough responsibilities to fill the 20 billable hours during that work week. So this would give them that additional labor so that they could fill those 20 hours. After it's sorted, We use the scanners to differentiate between the type of fiber content that it is, so the website. The reason that we're using the website and sorting between the different types of fibers is because there's 3 different streams that the clothing will eventually end up in. So you also asked, how are we gonna track the metrics? The website does that. So it takes the picture, it will have the fiber content, and it'll also have the type of item that it is, the dimensions, and then it'll also calculate like carbon dioxide saved, water saved. So the website does the sorting for you. So when you take the picture, it tells you, okay, it's this type of thing. And it'll also tell you what stream it should go into. So the 3 streams are Patagonia and Johnsons of Elgin. That's why we wanted to have the sorting in the first place, because Patagonia will only take certain types of materials in order to remake outerwear. And additionally, Johnsons of Elgin wants certain pure like virgin fiber wool. So that would go to that revenue stream. They said that they would be willing to handle like the shipping and logistics, the companies themselves. The second place that it could go to is Open Door, which is in downtown Columbus. And our community contact is Rose Dawson there. She was willing to use all of those end-of-life textiles, you know, all those things with those holes. And then the third revenue stream is things that are fully intact or have small holes. We've partnered with Patagonia in order to create kits that would go into the dorm, like into the dorms, and students can use that to repair the clothing. And we'll have events in the dorms with the RAs and with a stakeholder from Patagonia to explain the patching process and how to fix clothes. Because if you extend the life of a garment, even by 3 to 6 months, that saves a substantial amount of water. We're talking like 2 to 3 tons of water.
And then one of our partner organizations, also Buckeye Clothing Collection, helps find organizations around Columbus for people in need. So teen shelters, homeless shelters, stuff like that, where they would be transporting it to organizations they work with to help reach the Ohio State community impact just around the city. And then also making sure that that clothing is going to people that are in immediate need instead of sitting on a donation center or on donation shelves for a long time at typical thrift stores where it goes back into a storage room. They wait until they refill it. We have a student org that's working with a bunch of different organizations around the city just to make sure that that clothing is actually going right where it needs to people that couldn't maybe afford it also at those donation centers.
So you'll have a student going from dorm to dorm to pick up these things, to collect it all, and then you're going to ship it.
So it functions on a dorm-based model. So after they're sorted, they're stored ideally within the dorms. And after that, there's a small holding period between which, after they're sorted, we will let our student volunteers or our partners know that it's ready to pick up and coordinate that exchange.
Also, to speak up on the events like Vidula was talking about, as a freshman in a dorm right now, every single week there is community hours on my floor. In addition, we had a great event called the Valentine's Day Ball at Dracket, where it was a great turn up. So events like these are successful and they are working. Students come together, it forms a community, and it really shows that students want to be a part of this great community at Ohio State.
Thank you for the presentation. You said something earlier that made me think back to college days. And if you have a competition between the dorms on the amount of textiles donated, I'm going to very happily donate all of my roommates' clothes. I'm curious about your revenue stream and how this business is sustainable. In that, if you get the initial investment, eventually these donation bins will need to be replaced, or you have to pay for the cost of putting them in the dorms. So do you foresee that Patagonia and your other revenue streams are going to be sufficient to maintain this business? And also, you don't seem to have any employees. It's all based on volunteer. And is that sustainable, that people will continuously volunteer? How have you really forecasted that?
With our volunteers, yes. So specifically, Engineers for a Sustainable World, they're looking for projects that they can maintain throughout their program. So I spoke with the president of their program, and they want something that they can continue to practice throughout and like pass on through other students. And then working with some of our other organizations, they also kind of want a long-term thing that they can go back years down the road and be like, okay, we've been part of this project for the past 8 years, past whatever, and show that on their sustainability side. And then also reaching out to other organizations and picking it up kind of as we go.
One more thing just to follow up before I head it over to Kunch. But another thing is that students always want volunteer hours. As a college student, maybe I want to go to med school, maybe I want to go to grad school, but that's like a large pool of the students and they need a certain amount of volunteer hours. So we know we're going to have consistent volunteers. Also, we were considering the RAs as a type of employee, but we have to solidify that with Res Life. But that's in the works.
Nothing more to add. You covered it.
And one more question is, how did you, for NG as a business, CO2 offset is extremely important to reduce the carbon footprint. How did you calculate the I think it was 1,200 tons of CO2 that you're going to offset? How was that determined?
So I went online and I found a bunch of sustainability reports that were published by various companies, NG included, as well as figures found on Reuters for the average like cotton t-shirt, average like towel, average sock, average underwear, average shirt, average pant. And then I compiled that data and then I used that statistic that we did from the 250 people that we polled, that 85%. We then dialed that down to maybe 60%, calculated maybe if every student donated one of those items, how much would that generate in terms of CO2 saved?
Is that the manufacturing process?
Yes, it is the manufacturing process.
Okay, so avoiding having to further manufacture more products.
Yes.
I'm just going to ask a question that builds on that, perhaps. You mentioned Abercrombie and Fitch at one point. You also mentioned Patagonia. With Patagonia, I guess I sort of understand their incentive, and you gave some details about what Patagonia would contribute into this, including training students on repairing clothes, and that's really interesting. Where did Abercrombie and Fitch come into this story, and what's their incentive, and how do you guarantee that the threads that they take on are going to like verifiably be used in a sustainable way?
So I can talk a little more about this. I will be working for them in their supply chain division like next year. And they've been, while they aren't as well known as Patagonia in terms of recycling, upcycling, within their campus, Abercrombie is working on a partnership with, I believe it's ThreadUp. It's sort of like a marketplace for secondhand clothing. And this is where they'll come in. They also do annual, they do a similar thing on their home office where they have donation boxes to send clothes for end-of-life recycling. And the reason why they indicated interest is because they have a distribution center like in New Albany where they take these sorts of like recycled fibers and ship them off to different partners that they have. So that is where they come in as an additional partner.
Thanks a lot, guys, for a great presentation. Kunch, you and I spoke yesterday. In the interest of transparency, we did have a conversation. I was on a call with Kunch and another person to talk about the existing OSU efforts in our residence halls about trying to divert some of that waste that you're discussing. Can you talk about what your thoughts were on that, not just you, but the group's thoughts on the conversation we had and how you would integrate other partners, people like the Monda Student Resource Center or Goodwill Columbus or whatever?
Yeah, so I'm sure you're asking like, hey, the Goodwill donation bins already exist. So how is yours gonna be one step above? Well, Vidula is very passionate about Goodwill and why our solution differs from, so I'm gonna hand it off to her.
Yeah, so actually, after your conversation, Kunch came to me and I was like, this is really interesting because I took it upon myself to make a Gantt chart or sorry, not a Gantt chart, but a Sankey diagram for both Goodwill and for our program. And the main thing that Goodwill does not take into account is end-of-life textiles, which is what our project will mainly divert. And that is really important because that's what makes up most of landfill waste, right? And also, the other thing is that within Goodwill, it's a little bit unclear about how much of that merchandise or whatever, that textile that they receive, how much of it they're actually, putting into stock, how much of it they're just throwing away, how much of it's not very transparent at all, and they're not a very transparent company, to be honest. And so I think we could do better.
Also, again, we're working with Buckeye Clothing Connection to make sure that we immediately donate this extra clothing that can be reused to shelters and people and organizations that need them. So instead of sitting in a donation center behind in the back, whatever, and then also getting sold, we're trying to make sure that all of that clothing gets put directly to use for people that maybe couldn't afford it, people that couldn't have access as easily, and trying to spread Ohio State's outreach in the community as well.
And also results from my Sankey diagram, the amount of waste diverted by Goodwill that just goes directly into the landfill is about 12%, which is kind of crazy when you think about how many, items Goodwill receives on a yearly or annual basis.
As students, we want to have great transparency with where our clothes are going. With Goodwill, there's a lack of transparency and understanding how much impact is donating this piece of clothing actually going to have. Is it just going to end up in a landfill or be thrown away? So by having transparency as a big thing about our program, it's going to make students really understand that, okay, this is actually going to benefit our campus, our community.
And we have direct statistics that you can get on our website with the pictures that are uploaded. So we know exactly where everything is going and, how much CO2 and water we've saved.
Will tell us how much you sent to Patagonia, what they did with it, how much they reused, and J&J, how much they reused. And then you're saying also that if it doesn't fit into those 3 categories, you'll donate it. But if these are end-of-life items with holes and stains, will you really be donating it?
Those are all accepted at Open Door Studios.
So, okay, it's not going to those in need, it's going to art projects. And will the website also track how much that's going to be?
Yes, we also have a paid external link on our website where you can see all of the projects that have been made with the textiles that have been collected. So that is up to date and on our website right now.
Okay, well, thinking about the process, is hygiene an issue in the process?
Yeah, so that's why we have a sanitation group, our Engineers for Sustainable World. I reached out to the president and they're really interested, again, in having a long-term project they could work on. So I spoke with them and they said they would be ready to dedicate a team to working on a low-cost, scalable solution for textiles and that. So then we would have research solutions and try and come up with the best solution right now. Currently, most thrift stores just operate on a do what you can type thing and trust that students are going to donate clean clothing. So worst case scenario, we would operate in the same way that all major thrift stores are. And then also we're going to have a team of engineers working on a better sustainable solution that we can scale up. And since our pilot project would start next year, we would have a long time to do research, create solutions, and then practice implementing those solutions with our team.
One more thing that we wanted to mention is that we have a separation in the bin so that end of life goes on one side and other thing goes on the other side, because we know that the end of life textiles are a little bit more finicky in terms of hygiene, and those are just going to be directly sent to Open Door and they're going to be dealing with the sanitation there.
And have you taken into account the carbon footprint from the transportation to offset the positive impact? So you have to think, it's a very complex thing. In terms of circularity or thinking about carbon footprint of something, right? So it takes some carbon, some fuel for you to be picking up stuff from the dorms, transport. So are you looking into that?
Yes, we are, but also it takes substantially more carbon if those things are just thrown away. So
it would be interesting to see those numbers.
it would be, yes. And we would be interested in doing that analysis.
I was going to say the same thing as if it would be like transporting those items into a landfill. So we'd be looking at those statistics and trying to see how we could improve that, and also with our engineering group.
And then, since we have so many different statistics on the website already, that could be another thing we can add as well. Tracking the amount of carbon dioxide being produced from these cars and the amount we're saving, and so show the positive impact that we're doing in comparison to the whole.
So it seems that you're using or heavily dependent on the AI scanner, what sort of cloth, and then on website, both of those tools have some overhead, meaning you'll have to train who is doing that piece, website who is maintaining that, right? So can you talk about those?
Yeah, in terms of training, it's very simple. You just take a photo and it'll tell you what to do. In terms of sustainability and longevity, as a freshman myself, I'm going to be here for another 3-4 years. I can help overrun and oversight what this project's actually doing. In terms of how the AIs working in the base already, and we just siphon down the parameters to very general different types of fabrics and pieces of clothing.
So that AI piece is kind of incorporated within the website. So then the students who are sorting have access to that website on their phones or iPads or whatnot, and they can use that sort of camera to get those pictures, right? And also, we've thought about the domain. We've thought about maybe getting an osu.edu domain. That would be amazing. But also, another thing that we had to take into consideration, like you mentioned, is that AI isn't 100% accurate. Let's say we get 89% accuracy rate, which is what we're at right now. That's still significantly a lot better than students just eyeballing it and feeling it. And also, this is a really important innovation because textile clothing scanners run around $16,000. So we're saving that money by not having to buy scanners to tell the fabric content. And also because of the flexibility with our corporate partners, we know that if we're not 100% accurate, it's okay. Like, they will accept things that have slight defects in them.
I've got a question for you. Great presentation. Thank you. You mentioned 40 to 60 metric tons of textiles from Ohio State. I'm wondering what you would consider a successful implementation rollout as far as materials collected and diverted.
Actually, I did this analysis as well when I was doing my survey, where I went to all of random dorms at different times during the day to make sure that it was randomized. I talked to every 5th student that came outside of the dorm. Again, make sure it was randomized. And we talked to them about, what is the average amount of clothing that you get rid of at the end of the year? How many things do you throw away? A lot of them were saying that they throw away 5 to 10 items. Okay, around 50% were saying they were throwing away 5 to 10 items. And the other 50% were saying that they were throwing away 20 to 30 items, which was even more interesting because it's a lot of items. So in order to measure that, I then calculated, let's say 30 t-shirts, okay? 30 t-shirts per student in a dorm would save 8 metric tons was the calculation that I had. Sorry, I was like running through it in my head to make sure that I got the figure right, but we have done that calculation.
All right, Thread Cycle OSU. Oh my gosh. Well, Sean, it's your program, so it's totally.
It's a really quick answer, I think. I work on OSU campus. I donate clothes every year to Goodwill or wherever, thrift stores. Are you only in dorms? I mean, how can I, as somebody who works at OSU, bring my stuff to your bins? Because I'm not going in a dorm.
Well, the lovely thing about our project is that it's scalable. So we have our pilot, and our pilot is in one dorm. We eventually want to expand to every dorm. And hopefully, if the program is super successful, we can expand to maybe the Union or the RPAC or Thompson Library, points on campus that are more accessible for faculty. But as of right now, our main concern is students. Because students don't have that accessibility factor, which I'm assuming you have, is you can drive your car to Goodwill. ARPIT cannot.
So I had a question. Thank you for bringing up the conversation because I didn't realize there was already a program for clothing, right? Good, bad, or ugly, that's happening. Students know where to go. Have you thought of scaling your program to just those end-of-life items to complement what's already occurring rather than be a substitute for what's existed for a long time, I'm assuming the Goodwill boxes?
Yes, we have.
So we did think about that as well. And again, that's kind of why we worked with our Buckeye Clothing Connection, because we know that a lot of donation centers just have back rooms with tons of bags of clothing, and then it rolls out and then it rolls out. And so instead of diverting all of that textile waste just to another room and then to get sold again, that's why we were working with different organizations around Ohio State. So it would be, we could always scale it to the project also to work with Goodwill. But as of right now, we are working with different dorm or different groups to make sure that we really get it to people in need around Ohio, to make sure that stuff doesn't get wasted, go to a thrift store, get bought again, someone throws it away. They don't need to use it as much, where it goes to more people in need.
Oh, thank you. And one more follow-up is that I actually did go and talk to a Goodwill corporate sponsor. And one thing that they did mention is that, Goodwill at a certain point needs to turn a profit, right? We as a group don't really need to. So, I mean, we do and we want to and we expect to. But at the end of the day, if it's a decision between doing something that is right and sustainable versus doing something that we know is unethical, we will always choose the right solution. Whereas we don't know what a company like Goodwill is going to do, right?
All right, Thread Cycle OSU, thank you very much. Another round of applause for them. While they're making their way down, let's keep things going by inviting our next team, OSU Piezoelectric Tile Initiative, to the stage. All right, so this team aims to utilize innovative piezoelectric tile technology that captures kinetic energy and stores it in batteries. These special tiles will be placed in areas with heavy foot traffic on campus to capture kinetic energy that is produced that will then be stored in batteries beneath the tiles. This initiative creates renewable energy on campus, significantly contributing to Ohio State's sustainability goals. So come on up. All right. So we actually have another quick audience participation event here. Any engineers in the audience? Do we have any engineers in the audience? I hope we have a few. All right, we got one engineer from our Thread Cycle OSU team. All right. Would you like to explain to us what kinetic energy is?
So kinetic energy, it's the energy that's going when something's in motion. So potential would be something's up high, it has the ability to fall lower, and it's still storing that energy. Kinetic energy is once it's in motion, it's falling. That's the energy that it has.
Plus, okay. So which of the following ways of creating power is not kinetic energy? Not kinetic energy. A wind turbine, a hydroelectric dam, a gasoline-powered automotive engine, or a piezoelectric tile? Which of the following is not, which of those is not kinetic? Wind turbine, hydroelectric, gas-powered engine, or a piezoelectric tile?
Well, I'd say the tile, but they all at some point have some sort of kinetic energy anytime there's movement in the system.
Clearly, I should have asked an arts and science major and not an engineering. Okay, they do, but primarily the one that has the most potential energy would be. Wow, are you an economist instead of an engineering major? Okay, all right. We are going to award this amazing prize to you. Congratulations, Amanda. Well done, well done. All right. All right, great. Are you guys all set? Oh, we've missed a couple of judges. All right, excellent. Nope, that's fine. So we're gonna give you guys just another minute to get ready. All right, here comes Aparna. All right, as soon as she takes her seat, we'll give you guys the floor.
Good morning, judges. My name is Rudy Reisinger. I am a senior power engineer, and these are my teammates. Jonathan Avram, who is a sophomore a computer science engineer, and then Noor Owais, who is a sophomore mechanical engineer, and Abdul Rahman Hambuta, who is a senior civil engineer. And this is our project, OSU Piezoelectric Tile Initiative. The problem we are looking to solve is students are unaware of sustainable and renewable energy. OSU has spent millions of dollars on sustainability projects such as large wind energy, solar panels, and combined heating and power plants, but not very many students know about them. Our project is an unavoidable way for students to learn and engage with sustainable and renewable energy. Areas like the Ohio Union and RPAC propose a high potential to host our piezoelectric tiles because they are high foot traffic areas.
Okay, so we propose a project which concludes or includes page ends, tiles, or mats. So every day we see thousands of students walk into the Ohio Union or the RPAC, and their footsteps are wasted energy. So our project proposes that we transfer that energy from mechanical kinetic energy into electrical energy using these page end mats. These mats then take that mechanical energy, convert it to electrical energy, and store it in batteries or battery packs, which can then be used to power LED displays, lights, and things of that sort. Not only does this make it more environmentally friendly and stable for the building itself, but it also makes it where it's resistant to power outages since it's self-sustaining. This is just an added benefit or safety factor for this. And then we were also looking to place them in high foot traffic areas like the Ohio Union or the RPAC, since one footstep isn't really making much of a difference. However, combined with thousands of footsteps, it will make something. And along with those tiles, we're also looking to add LED displays or that show the students their contribution into this matter.
With this tile installation, we want to create an endless impact, specifically by building a community. So through a dorm leaderboard, it allows residence halls to compete against each other for sustainability milestones. And along with that, this can be an incredible recruitment differentiator, especially during college tours. It can be an incredible speaking point and to touch upon all of OSU's sustainability initiatives. Along with that, this allows press coverage, and it shows that OSU leads in sustainability through all colleges throughout the world.
So how does this align with OSU's goals? OSU's goals for innovation sustainability align perfectly with this product. Not only does it advance OSU's goal of having or increasing building efficiency power by 25% in the next decade, it helps it do that by reducing that energy load on the grid and making it more sustainable. Secondly, it follows its carbon neutral goal since it doesn't produce any carbon, and in fact, it lowers that demand on the energy grid, so it reduces that. Thirdly, it also demonstrates innovation and leadership in this space, where OSU becomes one of the leading infrastructure for sustainability and innovation, as this tile and this product doesn't only become something where it saves them money, but also becomes a leading factor between other campuses, and it shows how this campus can become an opportunity for the students to learn and engage with other people. Our solution also directly aligns with NG and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that you can see on the right. These are also some of the goals that NG goes. Oh, sorry. These are some of the goals that NG uses when going forward with whatever they're making.
For for our implementation strategy, we are bringing this straight to the student union for a completely seamless surface level deployment. Instead of tearing anything up, we are placing these piezoelectric tiles to form a self-contained mat right directly on top of the existing floor. As of a construction management standpoint, this is highly efficient and will require absolutely no structural modification to the existing building. It's excuse me. It is a low-profile setup that fully maintains accessibility, ensuring safe, uninterrupted pedestrian traffic for everyone. Plus, the entire setup operates as a totally self-contained system. The kinetic energy generated from foot traffic would route directly to a local battery, which then powers self-sustaining LED display. We get endless impact from every step without ever needing to tap into the building main power grid. As far as our financial breakdown, our expected cost for this project comes to a grand total of $58,465. The project is our budget focuses primarily on the hardware, software, the physical hardware, and also the installation process. We also had aside $20,000 for the electric tiles themselves, a set of 2, and also $33,000 for labor, construction, to ensure a safe and uninterrupted pedestrian traffic for everyone who's walking. We also factored in $150 for hosting the a full year of hosting for the software data for the tiles. We also, which brings us to a total of $53,000. Factoring in the tax, which is $5,315, gets us to a grand total of $58,465,000.
One step lights the room. For foot traffic at the Ohio State, at the Ohio Union, the entrance is going to power a real-time LED display. And you may ask, why specifically a screen? The LED screen will transform the invisible energy generated by these tiles into a public moment where every step becomes a story for students, visitors, and faculty. The live energy display is going to be a screen near the tiles that will show the step count, the kilowatt hours generated, and wattage also generated. And for dorm versus dorm competition, it allows students to compete and feel like they're contributing and making a difference directly. If this is implemented into other dorms, it could be a competition between steps in dorms, and also it allows dorms to compete against each other in terms of students thinking about how long they're taking showers, how long they're keeping their lights on, allowing to reduce the amount of energy as a total on campus. Along with that, it's going to be campus-wide visibility. It's going to be displayed prominently in the union and will allow for students to see the screen and becomes a media moment. And along with that, it'll raise awareness to all students as well. Why this matters beyond the tiles. This is going to be great for enrollment and recruiting because every story, it's a story that every student wants to hear. Being a part of an initiative like this will help and show that OSU invests in innovation and specifically in sustainability. Along with that, for rankings and reportings, it's going to help OSU show as a whole about all of OSU's initiatives and how we're reducing energy on campus as a whole through many statistics that will be shown on the live display. Along with that, it's student designed and student driven, and it also keeps students involved on an everyday basis through the union or the RPAC, which are high foot traffic areas. Finally, institutional leadership. This shows that OSU can become a benchmark for smart campuses, showing how we really set the tone and set the initiative for all sustainability initiatives throughout all colleges.
In conclusion, OSU has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on sustainability projects that not very many students know about. Our project would be an unavoidable way for students to be engaged physically and interact with sustainable energy. And we are going to teach the university about sustainable energy one step at a time. Thank you.
All right, great job. I do like the tagline, one step at a time. That's very clever.
Thank you.
All right, which of our judges would like to start? All right, Sean.
All right, Sean.
Thank you, guys. Really awesome. I really like this. So a couple of questions here. First law of thermodynamics.
That energy can't be created out of nothing.
Yeah, which means that energy is the students exerting more energy to walk than they would have had those things not been there. So that energy isn't for free. That's based on calories, extra calories that people are burning in order to initiate that.
Correct.
So on that, what they're stepping on, these tiles they're stepping on, the first thing that comes to my mind, somebody trips, somebody slips, somebody falls, you now have a liability because of something that you've installed and altered the way the students are walking. Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we have. We are going to be implementing a lot of, we're going to be focused on a lot of protocols, OSHA protocols and stuff where, for example, we would use like leveling and stuff like that. We would also use slip resistance specifically for those tiles. They do have a product that that is specifically made for that. But and as looking also at different countries that have these tiles, I think there's one in Japan, in the mall, like in a mall, and they as far as of like calculating the results of every year, the least thing they were worried about was somebody actually getting hurt, which the percentage was too low. Obviously, people slip on regular concrete. But as far we're taking everything in factor. We're taking OSHA protocols in factor. We're taking safety protocols in factor. We're taking everything in factor.
I can just add to that if possible. So these tiles and mats, they're very small, very like similar to carpets you see when you walk into a building. So there may be a couple millimeters off the ground. And when the student does walk over them and they compress the mat, it also is just another millimeter or two of compression. So it's not out of the usual where they're going to step onto something and feel like they've fallen, or it's going to be something where it's going to be uncomfortable to walk across, or if someone has a stroller, if they're taking their kids somewhere, you know, it's not going to be an inconvenience for them or they have to go around.
Yeah. So first off, that was a really good question. Very important to focus on people's safety and all that. To add to that, in a regular building in itself, people already have such things as trip hazards when it comes to doors and all that, where you have the little metal pieces that connect where the door actually shuts at. People already have to worry about that when they're walking into the building. So that's a pure liability on itself that they have to think of, because some people might not think about lifting their feet high enough and they could trip on it. So when they already get over that, then once they get over that little lip, they'll already be stepping onto the mat itself. Like what Noor said, is a very thin mat itself, just like the carpet you would see walking in to rub your feet off of when you come from the rain, or something to make your shoes more sticky when you're walking on the concrete. In here, it would be something very similar to that, where you don't have to really use a lot of energy to actually lift your feet onto it. It's more of just a regular walking motion. Thank you.
Great presentation. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Great presentation, guys. It's a really interesting idea.
Thank you.
This is a follow-up, though. The mats and so forth that you already mentioned exist have a function, right? They're, like you said, they're intended to absorb water on rainy days and all that fun stuff, right? Will the mats that you propose continue to serve those functions, which sounds like a dumb question, but that's kind of a real issue when you're thinking from a custodial perspective. And as always, I mean, we get over 100,000 visitors to the Union a day. Not all of them come through the main entrance, true, but what about durability and all that stuff? Is it going to last through even a week, much less an entire year?
Yeah, so great question. Yeah, so we've researched that these piezoelectric tiles like this can last 20 years with heavy load, which can take actually more than 100,000 steps a day. Well, in a case if it's 100,000 people, it's 200,000 steps. They can last for 500,000 to 1 million. And like Abdullah Rahman was saying, they have it in areas of Japan, which has a population way greater than OSU, which they handle perfectly fine with the same technology that we plan on implementing into the Ohio Union itself. Yeah.
And I can also add something to that. When they make these tiles, they factor in a lot. They look at all these factors because since the whole idea is for pedestrians to walk through these, they factor in a lot of factors. They look into everything, mainly safety, mainly, you know, slipping and slip resistance and stuff like that. But as far as the durability, like my teammate here, Rudy said, very, very durable, and and this is also recorded data that we looked at research, you know, from an existing project in Japan. So yeah.
Just another thing to add to what he was saying, where these tiles are meant for the outdoors. So when they were created, they were made to be, you know, slip resistant, heat resistant, snow resistant, rain resistant. So they're waterproof, things of that nature. Dust doesn't really affect them. So having those tiles be implemented inside of a building where they're away from all those risks where they are created to handle, it kind of also reduces that stress or load that these tiles are taking. And that also just shows us that if they were to be able to survive in those harsh environments outside, inside, you know, an AC cooled area where all they're taking in is just maybe a little bit of salt or, you know, water from people's shoes, it shouldn't be much of a challenge for them to stay durable and keep their life for almost 10, 20 years.
Thank you so far. So what is the size of each pad? What is the estimated wattage generation? And since they come pre-assembled, I'd like to see a breakdown of the $33,000 construction cost.
So the size of each pad, first off, great question, was each of them come, because it's a European company, PaveGen, that we're ordering these from, so they're in meters. So they're all 1 square meter, which we measured out to be perfectly fine to be able to fit into the actual entrance of the union, entrance and exit, and or the fronts of the electric gates at the RPAC where students have to scan their IDs and get in through. So yeah, the size of those are about 1 square meter. The 33,000 comes because we have to factor in the cost that we have to talk to the city of Columbus itself. Everything has to go through them. You have to talk to them about your projects that you do, because everything has to be done perfectly to their scale. Like if you don't go through them, then there's no way that you can get the project done. So their cost in itself is from fees of like architectural engineering and all that you have to just talk to them about. And they like to upscale a lot of their pricing. So that's where we come through. Ours is, like you said, 20,000 for like the tiles themselves. But you have to factor in the labor cost of them coming out and actually looking at the project site and all that stuff to make sure that everything works greatly and all that. So, and I forget, what was your third? So yeah. Yeah, so the LED screens and all that are pretty cheap in a sense. Like you could get like a 100-inch TV or something like that that can be placed in an area where students are able to see it when they walk in. And the wattage usage that comes from the tiles themselves from an average day use would be about 500 watts itself. And that would be able to be shown and power the TV all on its own. And so you would see how much the TV itself would be consuming, and then how much is actually generated in itself by the students that walk through the union itself. And if we don't end up using it at the union, we do it at the RPAC, the electric gates that students use to scan and walk through, those can completely power all 4 of those that would be able to be in use. And students would have to use them because if they're going to the RPAC, which gets a lot of students going there daily to work out and just hang out with friends and all that, play basketball or something, they have to go through the electric gates to get in. So they're basically forced to use the tiles themselves to be able to use it. And so the tiles would then be taken off of the infrastructure of the building itself, allowing for a lower load onto the building. And then they would be completely used by the tiles, and the students will be able to see that when they're walking through it. So the union itself would not actually be taking anything out of the infrastructure itself, since union is a old building. It falls under like a historical thing. That's why we're not trying to change any of the actual infrastructure it has right now, and we're placing these tiles on top, a mat style. So we are going to just plug these into its own separate TV LED screen to be able to show the students how much they are generating, allowing them to learn on the fact that they are walking and generating this much through just their steps. So again, it would not be taking anything actually off the load itself. It would just purely be a teaching moment for the students as they walk through to be able to see how much they generated in themselves. Yeah.
So these tiles with that $20,000 cost is a little hefty, but they do come with, batteries, connectivities. So the energy that is created, everything that's extra, past powering the TV is stored in these batteries and can be used to, power things, the smaller loads like lights and other, miscellaneous things that can be found at the union or the RPAC itself. Yeah, it's like a pack. It's from a company called PaveGen. We were working with them to make kind of like not a custom, but something for OSU. And we're just in talks, and it comes with these batteries, the connectivities, and things like that.